Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. We're going to be taking a look today at a pretty interesting Pokemon that has been slandered for basically the entire time it's been out. Corviknight has not been able to escape the trash allegations. Today we're looking to combat that without the need for its Community Day move, Air Cutter. We're going to be running it way before that. This was actually back during the World Championship event, so you'll see that I did have the silly little background. Nevertheless, this is exactly what we were looking for on the lead. It's a non-shadow Kanto Marowak. And even better, they safe switch into Fortress. There is nothing that either Fortress or Bastiodon that's inevitably going to be in the back with this team composition. There's nothing they can do to put up a fight up against the Dusknoir and Diggersby backline. Funnily enough, this is actually what my channel was initially predicated on, is making a competent team that hard RPSs these nonsense, like Basti Wiggles Vic was the original one. These like triple alignment heavy teams that rely extremely heavily on fast move pressure. I like making teams that can play into most of the meta and also have a lot of play into those teams as well, just completely shut them down. So that's what we're looking to do today, and it looks like it's working, because although Diggersby is going to be aligned onto the Marowak, which debatably isn't the best thing ever, it actually doesn't really matter because Diggersby is fine in this matchup, especially when it's up a shield, and especially when we get the Scorching Sands debuff on the Marowak. We are going to make this trainer's life so painful. They know they have the Bastion back. I don't know why they're still here. We can look to no shield this. We can shield it up. It really doesn't matter. The safer play is just shielding it up because we don't want to put ourselves in smackdown range for, like I said, the inevitable Bastiodon in the back. We are going to get the KO onto the Marowak. Actually, no, they're going to hang on 1 HP, get debuffed the second time. That's their karma for running this garbage team. Scorching Sands going to land onto the Bastiodon. Bastiodon takes a hefty amount of damage in the process. We're going to be able to reach another Scorching Sand. I didn't want to throw it on alignment. Committing to good timing there actually is to my detriment. Elim trick, insane. We were actually able to pull off the Elim trick. I love it here. Anyway, we're going to build up a bunch of energy on the Corviknight so that if they attempt to go for a catch, it actually doesn't even matter because the Marowak is too low. And they are going to be able to reach a Flamethrower versus the Corviknight. This is my favorite thing about Corviknight. I guess they could throw the Stone Edge too. Neither was going to KO. In comes the Marowak, only to get farmed down. GG's. I guess this is a good time to touch on it. These battles were recorded about 2 weeks ago, back when the Elim trick had not been patched. I haven't mentioned this here. I mentioned it briefly in a community post, but I know not everybody's always like looking at the community posts, so I'm going to mention it in a video. Why did we patch Elim trick again? I'm so legitimately confused. The community was so happy, like enemies were holding hands levels of happy. World peace nearly attained levels of happy was the community, thanks to Elim trick being found out and one turn bring in not being as much of a problem. And they patched it. It no longer exists. You can't do Elim trick. As a matter of fact, I think if you do it now, you actually just get 1 turn bring in, like guaranteed. It is so disheartening for me to see this because this is an issue that's been plaguing the game for years, and the community was super excited that there was some semblance of a fix to it towards it, and now there's no happiness, and we're all just sad playing in a world of 1 turn bring in consistently every single game. Nevertheless, this guy has some real cringe on his comp. Dusknoir lead. I think he safe switched the Wigglytuff. He counter-switched the Wigglytuff into my Dusknoir, got dynamic punched. We are now in the Diggersby versus Bastiodon matchup, so this trainer is not having a good time whatsoever. Diggersby does not need to shield and should not shield here, as they do have a Dusknoir with a dynamic punch loaded, or at the very least, very nearly loaded. So we're not really able to shield here, but from this range, we can double shield dynamic punch or shadow punch baits. It really doesn't even matter, but we can double shield here and just go straight fire punch, because fire punch is nearly enough to knock out the Dusknoir from this range. They opt to no shield it, but they're just too low anyway. They get farmed down by the Corviknight. GG's. Sorry for the mini rant there. I got a little carried away, but it's just super frustrating. I'm sure as a lot of you guys feel the same way, that we have to play in a game that is full of inconsistencies and it almost feels as if the game devs prefer us to play in a state full of inconsistencies. I really hope this issue gets addressed very, very soon, because it kills a lot of motivation when playing this game, that you can basically lose the game because of the inconsistency, and there was a fix found, and they would rather the players not have access to the fix. Nevertheless, Dustmore is going to have to be safe switched into the Diggersby from the opposing trainer. They end up counter switching with their jump fluff, which is going to end up losing the 0-1 shield scenario. And now they're going to bring in their Feraligatr, but Feraligatr is going to have to go down a shield, dropping their shield to a Shadow Punch from the Dustmore. Dustmore nearly getting Shadow Claw down there, but we are able to make the pivot back into the Corviknight. Corviknight, fortunately, is going to be able to absorb a Hydro Cannon and fire back with a Sky Attack. Now, this Sky Attack is very impactful, as it is going to grab the final shield from the Feraligatr, and Feraligatr looking to bank as much energy as possible, but we are very comfortable with just shielding this move up. And now, if they pivot into their Diggersby, oh, they have to throw all of their energy on the Feraligatr, not trying to get KO'd by a potential Corviknight move here. Looking to likely pivot out is the trainer when we show that our third Pokemon is our own Diggersby. They are going to stay in. Are we going to attempt the catch? We are, but unfortunately they don't throw, and that might be a lose con, but wait. We're able to make a Dynamic Punch versus their Diggersby. Dynamic Punch more than 50% onto the Diggersby, and now they can go for the Scorching Sands, but all we have to do here is build up to the back-to-back moves. If their Feraligatr does not have the Hydro Cannon stored, we will be able to win this game. We are going to actually throw the Scorching Sands early, and why is that? Because Diggersby's not yet in Hydro Cannon range, so they can't throw the Hydro Cannon yet. We fire off the Fire Punch. Is this going to be enough? It is enough. GG's. Getting into the next one, it's going to be Corviknight leading into Shadow Scizor. This is another Pokemon that inspired me to run Corviknight, and after playing this matchup out a couple times, the only way Scizor is ever able to come out victorious here, even if it invests both shields, is if they get a Night Slash boost. Corviknight does not have to commit a single shield here. As you see there, given that amount of damage with the Night Slash, we are not in double Night Slash range. We are going to be able to live the bullet punches. It's close, but we'll live the bullet punches and the double Night Slash and get to 2 moves. So Scizor forced to pivot out there, maybe realizing that fact. They're going to go for a Rock Tomb into their Claydol. Claydol, not a Pokemon I was expecting to see. Definitely a little bit more of a rare Pokemon in today's climate, but nevertheless, Shadow Punch onto the Claydol, going to pick up the knockout. If they bring in the Scizor, Scizor can go for a Night Slash, but we are very healthy on this Dusknoir, and Dusknoir should be able to outpace the 2 moves before the Scizor is able to reach another Night Slash. Shadow Punch is going to connect either onto the shield or onto the Scizor. The Scizor goes down in the back. They've got Degene. Oh my goodness, do I have the perfect Pokemon for Degene in the back. They're going to shield up, and once they see the Diggersby, they know the game's over. GG's. Getting into the next one, it's a terrible lead. Talonflame up against our Corviknight. This is going to prompt an immediate safe switch. We're going for the Elim trick at the start of the game. You know what? I was just so happy swiping up from the bottom right of my screen that realistically, it didn't matter there, obviously, but it was just force of habit. Even with other apps, I was doing the Elim trick. We're going to be able to get the double Dynamic Punch as the Furt is not able to get the Sucker Punch farm down. Dynamic Punch nearly KOs the Furt. They're on about 1 HP. I think Corviknight can snipe down. Not quite. They are unfortunately going to be able to reach a Swift here. However, this Corviknight energy lead will prove to be somewhat impactful, as they do have the Talonflame in the back, and they are going to fire off a move onto the Diggersby. If it's not a Brave Bird, I'm okay here, but I decided to play it safe, as I really don't want to get Brave Birded there. They have a Gastrodon in the back. What did I say about if you run Gastrodon and Talonflame on the same team, you live and die by alignment? That sounds like a very true statement spoken by a very handsome man, but nevertheless, Gastrodon's going to connect with the Earth Power, and oh man, Diggersby is so bulky, that didn't even look like a nuke move. That looked like a bait move, if you ask me. I'm going to be able to go for the Scorching Sands, and unfortunately Gastro lives on 1 health. Maybe could have been better to get the snipe down with the Corviknight here, but also maybe not, because I would have been locked onto the Talonflame without the opportunity to get the Scorching Sands and maybe pull a shield from them, or even better, get the debuff. Now, it's all up to Corviknight. I think if we reach double Iron Head here, we are going to be able to get away with this win. Iron Head number 1 grabs the shield from the Talonflame. They're going to be able to fire off a move here. We are able to survive this. They go for the Brave Bird. Now an Iron Head definitely will KO. Come on, Corviknight, you got this, buddy. I believe in you. We're going for the Elim trick in case they do get the KO. They do, but Corviknight able to survive on 1 health and fire off the game-winning Sky Attack. GG's to this trainer. Getting into the next game, not as amazing of a lead as you might think. Although, with Corviknight double resisting both Vine Whip and Frenzy Plant, basically de facto moves on any Chestnut, it is definitely not the worst spot to be in, but I can definitely say with a high degree of certainty that the Sand Attack resist makes that not as comfortable a matchup as you would like. Nevertheless, we are going to fire off a Shadow Punch onto their Shadow Talonflame. I can't really tell. There's so much shadow effects. There's so many effects going on right now. Maybe this is a regular Talonflame. It is a regular Talonflame, and the second Shadow Punch will KO. They are going to bring back in the Chestnut, but Chestnut would have had to throw a move in order to get rid of the Dusknoir. Dusknoir going for the Shadow Punch is going to put a sizable dent into that Chestnut there, but they are able to get the Snipe down. That is not the best. I am going to have to bring in Diggersby here, going for the Elim trick. 07s in the comments for the Elim trick, because unfortunately it's not here anymore, but I'm going for it like an absolute mad lad in this video, as it was still available. Going for the Scorching Sands, easily grabbing the shield from the Typhlosion, 2 quick attacks, and the catch onto Corviknight. If they full charge the Blast Burn, it'll guaranteed KO, but they fully undercharge the Blast Burn, but don't have enough energy to get rid of the Corviknight. They left me too healthy, and we're in an awkward spot where they would have had to throw another move at the Diggersby, or alternatively, go for a farm down, which they were not getting from that range. They are going to be able to fire off a move onto the Diggersby. This is tough. I know they have 2 moves. I shield up the Frenzy Plant. I make the Fire Punch, and it all comes down to this. Is Frenzy Plant enough to KO? They go for the Superpower that does less damage onto the Diggersby than the Frenzy Plant would have. Fire Punch KOs the Chestnut, and on 1 HP we take the win. Alright, getting into the next one, and it is a Marowak lead. Oh geez, I can only wonder what's behind this Pokemon. We are going to see the instant save switch into the Fortress, only to be met with the Bug Resist in our Shadow Dusknoir. Shadow Dusknoir easily going to be able to outpace and go for the Shadow Punch. They are going to shield up the Shadow Punch, as they are going to now look to debuff the attack of my Dusknoir. Here I'm going to go for a shield Dusknoir's attack stat, or Dusknoir's HP stat rather, and the combination of Bug Breath being a very terrific fast move means that Dusknoir is not going to be able to comfortably live the Bug Breath after a Rock Tomb there. We would live the Rock Tomb, but not enough to comfortably be outside of Bug Breath downrange. Going for the Dynamic Punch up against the Marowak. Marowak really can't afford to give up a shield here. Now we just bring in the Corviknight. They bring in their Bastiodon, and that is a top left waiting to happen. GG's. Getting into the next battle. Corviknight leading into Annihilate. Once again, this is going to be a matchup that gets a lot better once Corviknight has access to Air Cutter, I would imagine. But in the meantime, we can only work with what we have with, so we're going to say switch into Dusknoir. They are going to respond with a Drapion. This is very, very bad. I'm not really in a position where I can afford to no-shield a Crunch, so I am going to shield up the Crunch bait with a Shadow Punch. And now, I should be able to undertap my Dynamic Punch here, but I don't go for it. I overfarm. That is definitely a mistake by me. I would have much rather to put pressure on their second shield right there with my Dynamic Punch. That would have been a lot more impactful. Now I'm going for a second Shadow Punch bait. If they don't shield this, I'm going to go for one more Astonish, look for the Snipe down with the Corviknight. They don't react in time. We don't have any shields, though. They bring in their Annihilate. However, Corviknight is very, very bulky. Combinations of Rage Fists and counters are not going to be enough to threaten the Corviknight here. I'm going for the Iron Head. This is potentially a Sky Attack, so they're going to feel a lot of pressure to shield there. And now we have to go for another Iron Head. Are we going to be able to get there? Yes, we are. And that is very, very impactful. Iron Head does not quite yet KO the Annihilate, but they're very likely to throw a Rage Fist here at the Diggersby. It's a Rage Fist, double resisted onto the Diggersby. They're bringing in their Blastoise. This game is not yet over, though. I'm going to have to go for a Scorching Sands up against the Blastoise. Blastoise is going to be able to tank one comfortably, but with the combinations of the quick attacks and the combo play with the Shadow Punch, this game is getting almost guaranteed to be a win. The Blastoise will top left with a bunch of stored energy because with their attack debuff, they were never getting through the Diggersby. GG's. Next game, Corviknight into Quagsire. Bit of an awkward lead, realistically. They can hit pretty hard with the Stone Edge here, but I am going to call an Aqua Tail because Quagsires love going for Aqua Tail baits. I don't know what it is. It's like Shadow Right Fury going for Breaking Swipe baits in the Master League. It's pretty much the same thing. You have the move that does damage, you have the move that doesn't do a lot of damage, but you're far ahead if you bait. Nevertheless, they're going to build up to yet another Stone Edge, and I am going to no-shield this one yet again. It's another Aqua Tail bait, and now I'm firing off a Sky Attack. This is going to connect onto the Quagsire, so unless they shield up here, it is going to do a sizable amount of damage. They are going to switch out as we bring in our Dusknoir. It is a Snarl Mandibuzz that answers us, though. This is pretty bad, to be completely honest. I'm going to shield up here. It is going to be the Dark Pulse. Mandibuzz gets there very, very quickly when running Snarl. There's some particle effects stuck on our screen right now. Not entirely sure what that's about, but I'm going to go for the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch onto the Mandibuzz, going to do a sizable amount of damage. I look to undertap the Shadow Punch. I don't know what happened there, but I guess the Mandibuzz just won CMP. What was that interaction? Was that piggyback CMP again? Whatever. We're going to look for the Astonish down. Not quite able to get it, so we're going to make a last-second catch onto the Corviknight. The Mandibuzz is at 1 HP here. They are going to need to switch out. The Aerial Ace not going to be enough to KO. The Sand Attack is going to KO the Mandibuzz. Now, they bring in Tentacruel. I thought that was a really washed Pokemon named Toxapex. Unfortunately, it is not. Tentacruel is actually just better than Toxapex now, which is not a sentence I thought I would be saying at the start of the year, but it definitely is now. I'm going to bring in the Dusknoir as it does have a poison resist here, and we need to force some energy from this Tentacruel. They are going to fire off an Acid Spray bait. What is this? Oh my goodness, Shadow Punch. Now going to force a shield or KO the Tentacruel. Tentacruel is going to put up a shield, but now Diggersby's in a very good position to just go for a Fire Punch straight away. I'm going to no-shield this move. I think they only built up to another Acid Spray here, and they did. What are they doing? They're not building up. They're going for another Acid Spray. Oh my goodness. I'm going to shield this one up. Oh, this one was the Scold. Okay, thank goodness. The Fire Punch will easily be enough to KO the Tentacruel from this range, and all they have left is their Diggersby, and although my defense is debuffed by 2 stages, I'll be able to reach a Fire Punch, and an Aqua Tail's not going to be enough to KO the Diggersby. Even with -2 defense, it does a lot of damage, making Diggersby look a little glassy there, but keep in mind that is at -2 defense. Fire Punch is going to KO. GG's to this trainer. Alright, next up. Thanks, Obama. Was that guy's name? Okay, Corviknight into Scizor. Thanks, Obama. We are going to happily play this out. Scizor can go for Night Slashes straight away, but if they don't get the boost, they're not going to be in a very good position. Night Slash onto the Corviknight leaves us over 50% HP, and now I'm going to go for the Iron Head bait. Every Scizor ever will shield up if you build up to either a Sky Attack and or a Payback, so Iron Head grabs the shield from the Scizor. They're going to go for yet another Night Slash, but once again, Corviknight is more than healthy enough to survive, and the Bullet Punch is after. We're going to go for yet another Iron Head. If you feel as if you're going to get Bullet Punch down, I feel like going for the Iron Head is the correct play because there are instances where you can end up falling just short of the second charge attack, and it can end up being pretty unfortunate for the Corviknight. So going for the second Iron Head almost guarantees the second shield, and now we know what team this is, but with a shield advantage, we look to be in a pretty decent spot. Going for the Shadow Punch onto the incoming Azumarill, we know this is going to be Cradily in the back, and now we are going to overfarm a lot because we want to keep energy in case the Cradily comes in. We have something to throw at it. They are switch locks, so that's not the biggest fear ever right now. But with the energy lead that we have on our Dusknoir, this Azu is going to have short work made of it, able to pivot out into the Corviknight, make the catch of the Ice Beam, and this is just game over. At this point, there is basically nothing that the opposing trainer can do to get rid of the Dusknoir up as much energy as it is. Dusknoir gets the Hex down. If they bring in the Scizor, Scizor's getting KO'd by a Shadow Punch. They bring in their Bastiodon as their third. Not what I was expecting in the back, but I mean, it's, you know, it's the end of the season. Everybody's got a Bastiodon on their team. Even me. I hate Bastiodon, and there's an imaginary Bastiodon on my team because I'm not cringe and would actually not run a regular Bastiodon. Nevertheless, did I throw a Shadow Punch? Why did that do no damage? Oh, I was BMing. Okay, in comes Diggersby. Game's over. GG's. got to show off a little bit of a 5-0 flex here. You love to see it. Nevertheless, I don't ever give credit to Niantic, ever. But I will say the win rewards for the Go Battle Day were peak. Getting 3 encounter rewards and the boosted Stardust where they placed it was immaculate. I got to give them their flowers there. Diggersby's going to fire off a Scorching Sands onto the Dusknoir. Seems as if this trainer does not have a straight-up answer to the Dusknoir because they are staying in and shielding dynamic punches. They are going to be able to fire off another move here. This is enough for the Scorching Sands. I'm going to have to put up a shield. If they fire punch baited me there, I would have been in a much worse spot, but unfortunately, they can comfortably no-shield this next dynamic punch because they just got the attack drop. Thank goodness that is going to be less likely in the next season. Going for the catch onto the Corviknight. If they get the attack drop here, we're going to be in a really bad spot. Scorching Sands does not get the attack drop, and now we are going to be happily able to fire off a potential Sky Attack, but a very opportune time to catch by our opposing trainer, but we held on to our energy. Going for the Iron Head. Iron Head, not the most impactful damage onto the Bastiodon, I gotta say. I don't even know what third is with this team, to be completely honest with you. Hopefully it's not like a Steelix or a Carbink. It might be, though. So far, the opposing trainer is very, very hard ABA to a fighting type, so if they see one of those, I guess GG's. They're going to fire off a Flamethrower onto the Corviknight, but we don't need the Corviknight to get rid of the Bastiodon. We're instead going to bank an Iron Head for later, bring in the Dusknoir, and this Bastiodon should very much be in Shadow Punch range. Are they going to shield up the Shadow Punch? If they do, they're going to get KO'd anyway. They don't shield up the Shadow Punch, bringing in Diggersby. Diggersby now going to be tasked with shielding up a Shadow Punch. No, they actually were counting. No, you hate to see it. Okay, they've got their own fighting type in the middle. Not the best situation for me. I am going to have to bring in my Diggersby, look to snipe with an Iron Head from the Corviknight. I think a Fire Punch here will be enough pressure to force a shield from the Shadow Primeape. Shadow Primeape, of course, is very, very glassy. We get the 0-turn bring in to the Corviknight. Iron Head should be enough to KO from this range, and they have a low health Diggersby that is never going to be able to KO our Diggersby. GG's to this trainer. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Corviknight is a very strong Pokemon, and it has been a sleeper pick that has gained me lots of elo in the Great League this season, and I truly recommend it before and after Comm Day. But by the time this video goes up, it probably is going to be Comm Day because I'm recording this on August 29th. Probably going to be August 30th for some people watching this video, but nevertheless, I strongly recommend Corviknight because it's already pretty decently strong, as you can probably tell from this video. Sometimes people don't factor it into team building, at least currently, and so you can get away with matching up against a team that's like triple weak to Corviknight, and then you can just kind of like run a hole through the team with your Corviknight. All that yap aside, Corviknight is a very strong Pokemon that I think you need to be looking to build for the new season. Fortunately, it has a Comm Day tomorrow. Get to grinding, get as many good Corviknights as you can, because you may even want more than one for potential like multiple movesets, because Air Cutter is going to be a viable moveset. There might be some niche usages for Iron Head in the future. You never know. Better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, as I always say. Nevertheless, get to grinding your Corviknights. This is a very good Pokemon, and in the next season it is ranked at number 1, I think, in both Great League and Ultra League, but simulations do favor Pokemon with low energy bait moves, especially when those low energy bait moves have a chance of boosting. So I would take that information with a grain of salt, and I feel like that's particularly impactful information coming from me, as I've had 3 or 4 Corviknight teams this season. So with all that being said, thanks once again so much for watching. I've been Shmeaty. I hope to see you all again next time, and have a good rest of your day. See ya.